Hey everybody, welcome back to the Metroid Other M commentary. I couldn't think of a clever name between parts, so let's just keep going as if nothing ever happened. Oh fuck, it's cold.
So is Metroid Fusion the only Metroid game where you take damage from both cold and hot without the various...
Well, the only reason why you took damage from the cold in the first place in Fusion was because you had Metroid DNA inside you.
Yeah, but it's fucking cold, man. That hurts. Like, Jesus.
I don't know. Well, I'm pretty sure the suit has some insulation.
It's always amuses me how the scourge of the galaxy that the Galactic Federation wants just completely removed from life altogether could be defeated just by living in a Chicago or Boston winter.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this part.
Well,
I love this part. We got a big threatening enemy here. Yeah.
The thing about the thing about this kind of power armor is that it would be generating heat all on its own. So cold is less of a threat than more heat. You know?
Not to mention you already built some heat in yourself with kinetic energy.
Yeah, but it's cold. We're also in water. This is how we get hypothermia, all right, in sub-zero waters.
Is that a new type of beam?
No, that's a new type of way to die. Dude,
I
come on.
I thought hyperthermia.
Why are you
was
moving it away from the button as soon as you're letting go of the...
Ted,
What?
You saw me hit that thing dead in the center of the damn thing.
No,
and it didn't count.
as soon as you were let go of the button, you moved it away
Ted,
from the thing.
That's the problem with pointer technology, though, is because you're holding an object up that is not being stabilized by the ground like, say, a mouse would be. The flaw with that is that the actual motion of pressing a button destabilizes your aim.
Also, I did a lot of coke.
Okay, so I love how they hide these things all over the place, and then there's just one just lying on the floor, like somebody was developing missiles for the Galactic Federation, dropped it in this tank, and was like, "Oh shit, I'm not jumping in there to grab that. That can stay down there." Okay.
No, that's really cold. I'm gonna get hypothermia. Ooh, is that a new beam? No, you idiot. You're gonna freeze to death. The AI of that little snake thing is really weird. Sometimes it's aggressive, and sometimes it's just very docile.
It's fishing. It has like fishing hooks on its antenna.
Is that what it's doing? Is it a fish?
Maybe.
So if I get rid of maybe if I get rid of the fish, it gets aggressive.
Maybe it's the prototype for the AI used.
Hey, actually,
on
that'd be a
Last
pretty
Guardian.
good attention to detail. If I got rid of the fish and it hates me now.
The little spider things, they're called hoppers, right? Because I can never remember any of the enemies in the Metroid series.
Yeah, I believe so.
When they jump out of the snow, there's no graphic for it at all. Like, there's no like snow puffs or anything like that. It's one of the rare instances where a technical thing is caught my eye with this game.
Yeah, it just phases through the snow.
Yeah.
All right, so this is where they start introducing these guys. You can charge shot their ass over a dozen times to kill them. What they really want you to do is blow the front of their head off with the missile so that you can kill them with a lethal strike. John here, because I haven't played this game in a long time, kind of forgot that little detail. So as far as I'm aware, I just got to keep dodge rolling out of the way and just shoot it in the ass.
That's probably what I did too. You can only do missiles in first person mode, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's one of the things. It's not your first thought to try missiles on stuff.
Yeah.
Well, especially considering just how annoying it is to get to missiles in the first place.
Not to mention that this thing is charging at you. The one thing I don't want to have is not being able to move around. You know, because there's such a disconnect between the missiles and the...
Did you do a finisher move that bounced off?
Yeah, because they still had the helmet on. You have to blast the helmet off with the missile. I didn't know that. I forgot about it, and what I cut past there was 6 failed lethal strikes because I just didn't get the idea. It's like, maybe I should shoot the fucking helmet off.
Yeah, but the combat's all about staying mobile, and in order to use your missiles, you have to stand completely still. It's so at odds with the rest of the game.
This is the point of the game where they start introducing enemies that you have to missile at some point during the fight, and then later on they just start throwing them at you, and really sucks when I have to fight them and I can't ignore them, period.
So, Metroid mechanic preferences. Switch beams or stack beams? What's your preference?
Honestly, for the 2D games, stack all the way. But although I did appreciate in Samus Returns just being able to switch to the ice beam, because it means that killing stuff with the beam doesn't take 2 shots at most, because I believe in Zero Mission you can't one-shot anything with the beam because after you get the ice beam, because then it has to freeze for at least a little bit, which is annoying. So I appreciate that. But honestly, like, I don't mind the idea of switching beams if they all have different utilities, but for the most part, stack. It's just, it makes you feel more cooler.
Ice beam
Wow,
cooler.
Wow, this, you know, it's one of those things you don't really think about when you're playing the game, but this thing looks dumb. Like,
again, though, another boss fight, well, not like a little mini boss that requires you to shoot it with the beam until it starts glowing energy. After that, you have to switch to missiles.
I like how you try to jump on it. And it's
Yeah, I
not
try to
good.
jump on it. It's like, you know, it's like, yeah, right in the ass.
Damn
There's
thing
nothing
is
that. There's nothing. It's, you know, it's one of those things where I'm kind of torn, because on one hand, if nothing you're trying is working, you should. The obvious thing is to try to something else, but at the same time, it glowing a different color isn't necessarily something that, to me, signifies super duper clearly to just switch to missiles, you know?
That thing is like something duct tape tentacles onto the zappy electric things from Devil May Cry 4.
You know what? Actually, again, I think it's more a problem in this case, since you have to go to first-person mode to use missiles. If you could just use missiles willy-nilly, that wouldn't be a problem at all. You know, because you'd be more inclined to try them more often.
I'm not sure whether or not it's just because I just wouldn't stop moving, but that enemy clearly could have stomped on me out of fucking nowhere. I hate that kind of design.
It stomped sideways also, which I don't think would be possible necessarily. And scoring 8.6 for the Zebes Olympics, Samus. Woo-hoo.
But Zebes is destroyed. Oh,
Samus is destroyed. Yes, she is, because you died.
And a 3.0 from the Space Pirate Judge.
of course.
Why don't we
Kinda
invite those
He
guys?
was generous enough to give me a 3. He could have given me a 1.
Kind of reminds me. It kind of
The
reminds me
sequence was
of,
that impressive, John.
It kind of reminds me of Bayonetta, where you can do the 5 dodges before you have to pause, but instead of looking exhausted or anything when she pauses, Bayonetta actually just does a pose on the 5th dodge for no reason.
Even though that could get her killed, but whatever.
There you go. That's the way you lethal strike him.
If I remember correctly, the dodge a certain number of times and then do a pause on the last dodge is actually a Devil May Cry 2 mechanic.
I can't think of a game before Bayonetta where essential dodge rule. Well, I mean, no, I don't count Kingdom Hearts.
Why was it more effective to use a normal bomb there when a missile just shattered the entire thing in the first place? Couldn't you just fire a normal missile at it again and that would break it?
It provides a more outward spread of energy.
I want it.
Is this a remix of something right here?
No, Ted, I'm glad you feel that way too, because I swear to God, this is from another game.
It sounds so similar to the... Like, I feel like it should be the ice theme from Fusion, but it's not quite right, you know?
A part of me hears the, what I hear the most is the Frigate Orphean music from Prime.
Yeah, I hear that
during
too.
the
I
first-
just heard
yeah.
that right now, but...
Yeah.
But that can't be right. This game can't reference Prime.
Yeah, Prime? What is Prime? I like Prime Rib.
I swear that I hear...
Prime's not canon because I'm petty like that, Sakamoto.
I swear that I, like, at least when walking around in the snowy parts, though, I swear I hear hints of Fusion's ice music at some point, though. It's... But it's, again, one of those things where it's so hard to tell a lot of the time if it's
Also-
just a coincidence or not.
Doesn't acknowledge Prime series, uses Prime sound effects. The charge beam is right from Prime.
On the subject of sound effects, though, I really miss the sound effect that would happen when you pick up. Thank you, a missile
Yeah.
tank. You don't
Yeah,
get
that's
any-
really boring.
You don't
Yeah.
get any kind of jingle.
Like,
in this.
it's like in Prime, it's like, ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-da. Like, you
Yeah.
know, not quite the...
It was a very small thing, but I'm so happy Samus Returns brought that back.
Yeah, you know, but it's one of those things where I don't think in Fusion or Zero Mission there's anything more substantial. in those games when you pick up a missile tank?
Yeah,
or an
it's just a
energy
little
tank?
sound effect.
Yeah, so it's maybe it's something about it being a 3D game that makes it feel less substantial to pick up stuff, you know? Like, I don't know.
You know, it's a small thing, but one I think just builds up. You know, we hate the regular fanfare in Super Metroid because it played it for every individual item and expansion.
How long did they say it was? Like, how many minutes it was? If you 100% of the game you were wasting just listening to it?
Just listening to the fanfare? Oh, I don't know.
Well, if it's like 6 seconds long and you hear it 100 times, that's 600 seconds or 10 minutes.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So basically, take the world record speedrun for 100% and save 10 minutes of it. That's how long they're actually playing the game.
Yeah.
Although what's actually really funny is the Ys RPG series, or spelled Wise if you're not super familiar with it. It has an item fanfare music that, no joke, is nearly identical to the Metroid fanfare. Like, maybe one note is different.
Have you ever played Cave Story?
Yeah. I don't remember it being that similar, though. Like it's
it's
a
not
similar
one-to-one, but
it's not a
similar composition.
It's a similar like sound, but I know it's the melody. The thing about it in Ys' case is that the melody is nearly identical.
Okay.
It is. It really
like
is.
I could link you a yeah, I could link you a sound the sound clip, and you could have sworn it's from a Metroid game. Is the thing. Like, it's almost the same song. So I don't know. I'm pretty sure it came out after Metroid 2. So
it's fairly fitting because Ys has a sort of a structure to it that's very Metroidvania.
Yeah.
So
Actually, yeah, you're pretty right. It's like an
it's
action
kinda,
RPG that's also somewhat
it's kind of
Metroid.
like it's kind of like playing a Symphony of the Night style game in 3D instead of 2D.
John, that jumping into that. Oh wait, actually, you know what? I don't blame you for jump cutting there. I was gonna make fun of you for it, but I remember trying to get out of that pool of water. It takes like 5 minutes. It's a pain in the ass.
It's one of those instances where the jump looks close enough that you should be able to jump on it, but I guess Samus can't climb ice ledges for whatever reason.
You know, it kind of.
There's no reason why Samus shouldn't be able to grab that ledge.
Well, if it's slippery, I guess, but it's not really shown to you or whatever.
Well, Adam really didn't authorize the power grip.
But you needed me to authorize that?
Yeah.
Samus, why can't...
You didn't ask.
Oh my god,
Well,
Samus.
why would any military commander assume that you want to use a power glove? It's like playing life on hard mode.
It's so bad. No, I mean, really, it's bad. Don't use it.
You see, it looking at that map, it frustrates me that there's only one branching pathway. You know, like
It's not even a branching pathway. You can't go the other way until you go the other way.
You want to know what
first.
frustrates me about this map? It's 2D.
You know, it's one of those things where it doesn't feel like it should be that hard to translate the 2D design to a third-person game.
Well,
you know?
they did in 3 games before this. They're called Metroid Prime 1, Metroid Prime 2, and Metroid Prime 3 Corruption.
What are you talking about?
Those games
don't exist.
Those
I have
games
not heard
had
of them.
very intricate 3D map systems, and this game is just ovals and rectangles. Why?
Metroids can't tolerate cold temperatures. They couldn't survive in this environment.
So, oh yeah, I forgot that they made this a plot point, that they made the Metroids cold resistant. Because that's smart. If I remember correctly, I think it might have been I might be making this up because I've never actually read it, but I think that Chozo, when they were developing the Metroids, they left the weakness to cold in place just in case, so that, like, they could, like, fight back if necessary or something. I might be making...
Or maybe let the harsh environment do the job for them.
I might be misremembering that, so don't quote me on that. But I believe that they mentioned that at some point in the manga. But yeah, that's a stupid idea. You know, I'm gonna make this nuke and I'm gonna get rid of the off button. Yeah, I'm a genius.
Let's make Doomsday more invincible.
Well, Doomsday doesn't need help being made more invincible. His entire thing is that he was engineered to evolve past anything that manages to kill him. Yes,
except Superman.
You heard that right. Whoa, no, anything. if he dies, he evolves past whatever killed him. That's Doomsday's superpower.
Oh, so he's a Saiyan. Okay.
Kinda,
More or
yeah.
less. The thing about Doomsday is that he died so many times so painfully that he basically went insane.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, the comics are pretty liberal about how this works. Whenever Doomsday shows up, he's basically as strong as they want him to be. But,
Like Superman.
Yeah.
yeah, pretty much. Depends on who's writing it at the time.
I don't remember if there is an item behind these fans because I go out of my way to destroy the nest behind it, and you can morph ball into the slot, but I didn't find anything.
Honestly, I think they probably just, there are dead ends like that in the 2D games too, though, as well. There might just be a different instance there might just be a different fan you can go behind later in the game or something.
You
I
just
don't know.
don't expect something to be designed in this game without a reason, because this game
Yeah.
doesn't do that.
Yeah, you are right that's something that would be, if this were more traditional Metroid, it would make sense to have, to not have every fan have something be behind it, so that the ones that do have something be behind it to be more special, basically. I hear it again. It sounds like the
Yeah.
fridge. Oh my god!
Yeah, I swear this has some semblance of the friggin' Orpheum from Prime, but it never kicks into the actual theme, which is just kind of aggravating.
They do that for every song of the game. Do you know how long they play the Super Metroid?
Yeah.
They play that so often. Every time you restart the game from a save file, they play it. Do you know how I was expecting them to go into a full-on orchestral ba ba da ba and have it be awesome during the credits, and they never do it.
No.
That made me so mad.
I feel you.
This orchestra's wasted. The poor trumpets, they never get to do anything fun.
Listen, look at them. They're sitting down and crying. Look what you made them do.
They thought they were being brought to the Ruby and Sapphire recording session, and they were very excited to play. But no.
I was gonna play the shit out of that trumpet.
They got their revenge on the Oris remakes.
Oh no, but they didn't, because that's the crappy 3DS Pokemon synth that drives me up the wall. The fact that the DS instruments are better than the ones in the 3DS games still baffles me.
So that said, for the eventual Switch Pokemon, would you want full orchestral or techno?
Real instruments, that's the thing. No more fake bad MIDIs, because there are so many RPGs on the 3DS that have full orchestras, and none of those are the most popular RPGs on the planet. Pokemon is. You can afford to get real instruments, probably an orchestra, because that's what they've done for the anime and other things. Obviously, bring a few electric guitars for certain battle themes or whatever.
But Ted, making it sound fake makes it sound charming and video gamey and.
I'm sensing some sarcasm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of trying to make things look or sound video gamey for the sake of looking or sounding video gamey.
If you're gonna do that, you go all the way and make it sound like 8-bit on purpose for one section.
No shit. I was terrified right there because I got hit 3 times on the way down, and I thought I was gonna get juggled to death.
Yeah, you got comboed by the fish.
These are probably the least annoying these fish have ever been in any Metroid game.
Oh, man.
For the record.
Those fish schooled me.
I get it.
I see what you did there, but I'm not knocking things that use video gamey charm to their advantage. That's not the same kind of thing. What I'm really criticizing is the thoughtlessness of it. If you're just trying to look like or sound like a video game, you get stuff like Sonic the Hedgehog 4's soundtrack, which has
don't you love
some
cats?
Decent.
Cats and ducks.
Yeah, decent melodies and rhythms and stuff, but
Or perhaps are you referencing every TV and movie depiction of video games everywhere that still somehow uses Atari sound effects and everyone wiggles around jittering with their controllers all over the place even though no one plays like that?
That's the same school of thought. Yeah. But the
Nobody plays video games like that, Hollywood. No one does.
I
excuse me,
killed my
excuse
fairy.
me.
Stupid
Excuse
fairy.
me, the Wii would like to disagree.
Yeah, but then you're just hearing crackly sound effects come through their controllers.
But then you're just hearing the sound of Other M being played on the TV, and that's not realistic at all. Who's playing that game? I mean, unless they're schmucks like us.
I don't like it's frustrating too because this game had a lot of hype building up to it as well, and I remember the initial reviews, like the ones coming from gaming publications and stuff like that, were actually mostly positive. From what I remember.
But you know, gaming journalists, they do tend to favor shorter, simpler, easier to follow games, which Mario Odyssey seems to be poking a little bit of fun at.
Oh no! That Lewis, that mode's fake.
That mode's
Well, no,
fake.
the assist mode is real. It's just not called that.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, it's not actually. It's not.
I thought Nintendo made a clever joke. I should have known they wouldn't be that gutsy.
No.
No, it's called assist mode.
It's just a big thing right now because one of the things about the Cuphead of all things is that a lot of game journalists mentioned that it was hard, and people are like, "Oh, you must be bad, you're a game journalist because you think a game's hard," and it's like, okay, like whatever. People still like the game, you know. It still has overwhelmingly
that actually leads into well, off topic, but it gets into a question about games journalists that I've seen floating around the internet from time to time, whether or not it's good for a games journalist to be bad at video games or good at video games.
I think in order to properly critique it, you need to have some level of competency and
but
maybe
I also
not so
think,
much maybe not so much playing it, but understanding the basics of how a function works. And I think that was the problem with Cuphead, is where we saw it with the, I think it was Polygon with the Doom 2016 review, where it was a matter of, no, they clearly did not understand even the most basic functions of how the game was supposed to work, so you can't be trusted with them to give a fair critique of how the game
Really,
is.
it's just a matter that each game, obviously not every game journalist's going to be good at each type of game, but that's just a matter of the outlet to know what journalist is good at what kind of game, and then assign the games accordingly. The RPG guy gets RPGs, the platformer guy gets Cuphead.
And at what point, may I just throw in here real quick, does it become the game just having bad conveyance?
Well, here's my on balance, I think it is good to have opinions from people who are not necessarily bad at, but less good at a particular kind of game, because that gives a frame of reference when it comes to accessibility and difficulty. Because for me, I find Sonic the Hedgehog games absurdly easy, but I've been playing them for years, and every time I play a Sonic game, there's always someone who says this part was hard, or that part was hard, and I wind up just sitting there blinking at my screen like a dumbass, thinking, "You had trouble with that part, really?"
Yeah, I think we mentioned this. I think we mentioned this in the Sonic Mania commentary. But my brother Mark, who doesn't play a lot of Sonic games, struggled with a lot of things with the classic, and and the first thing you want to do is poke fun, but at the same time, it gives you perspective. It's like, no, wait, the only reason why I don't have trouble is because I did play these games growing up. But there's a part of you that forgets that when you're watching someone new at the helm.
And that's a fair debate to have, whether or not the game is able to convey something correctly. It's another thing entirely when the person whose job it is to fairly critique and show that to other people can't even follow simple on-screen tutorial functions.
Some game journalists have been guilty of a particularly abysmal performance when it comes to certain games they've reviewed, and oh boy.
Moral of the story is maybe don't, if you're legitimately shouting "get good," maybe don't do that because you sound like a dick. Yay. We all learned something today, class. Good job.
Pikmin 2 sucks. I think that was a very good thing.
Bringing it back around to Metroid before we end this part. A recurring thing I've heard of both AM2R and Metroid: Samus Returns, ironically, both of these games seem to have this characteristic, is that the difficulty level is higher than the standard Metroid game.
Oh yeah, they're both. I haven't played AM2R, but Samus Returns. That we talked about this when Ryan and I did our discussion. Is that we thought the game was hard for not the right reasons.
Yeah, and a lot of like I haven't like combed the comment section for that video. I haven't watched the whole thing yet.
There have been a lot of get good comments.
Yeah, there's a lot of get good comments, but it is worth pointing out, if it's hard to someone who's played Metroid before, what's it going to be like for someone who sees Samus Returns and tries to use it as an entry point? And I think in that comparison, AM2R having a higher difficulty curve isn't as much of a problem, because if you're looking into Metroid fan games, odds are you're already into the series, whereas if you're looking at Metroid Samus Returns on a store shelf, you might not have played Metroid before. You might not even be savvy enough with the series to know that it's how many games there are in the series. It says Samus Returns, which implies a sequel, but how many sequels have there been? 2 games before? 3 games before? Well, no, it was like 6 games before.
Also, it's just a matter of some kids just might know Samus from Smash Brothers and be like, "Ooh, this game has Samus in it. I want to try it." They might not even be thinking about this game like that game.
Was pretty much my mentality when I picked up Metroid Prime for the first time.
That was me with Majora's Mask, and we all know that story. So
who's Ness? What game does he come from? I want to try it.
Oh, he comes from Ness.
It's $200. It's $200 on eBay. No thanks.
Ooh, this must be really good.